we don't have to think the same way, but we got our hearts in the same place, then we can accomplish the goal. So again, if I know that you and me have the same heart for whatever we here for, at the end of the day, we're gonna figure to work it out. Right. It's beautiful that you're thinking a different way, because you're gonna make this environment or whatever we at better because of your diverse perspective. And once we put our minds together with the right heart, we're gonna be able to make it better. Welcome family, welcome world to another episode of the EL2A podcast. I am your host, Jamie Gilmore. To the right of me, we got Mr. Military Man, Mr. Miles McConaughey, Mr. Krabs, Mr. Miles McConaughey. To the right of him, you got the Rocket, Mr. E-Rock, Eddie Rockin'. And then to the right of him, man, we got our esteemed guest, man, the one and only Dr. Charles Mcintosh, man. So thank you for joining us. Man, so much to talk about with you, sir. You've been, I don't know if you remember, when I first got back, the first time I touched base with you, when I first moved back to Ocala, do you remember? Do you think you remember what that was?
EL2A?
Nah, it was over at. So they were having a meeting. So I was around 2020 around the social injustice church, the church. So we bumped into you at Church of Hope, and then you came up to me, and we kind of. That's when that's my first remembrance. But ever since then, it's been cool to be able to see you in action, and because. Before then, I knew who you were, but we were like following each other and know more about each other's lives. But to see who you are, what you stand for, one thing I love that you do, man, I love that when you do your things on Facebook, when you put the date and give you a little message, a little monologue or whatever for the date. It's funny because I can understand what you're doing, because you're putting your message into the world and basically telling people like, hey, you can't argue with me. This is my humble opinion, and signing yourself. So I like that you do that. But just to start before we get into it. So how we start our podcast, we start with mental health check-ins. We always say from 1 to 10, how you feeling? We think as men, we don't check on each other. So we open that space up here. So we'll start with Brother Miles. 1 to 10, how you feeling, sir?
Today I'm 10.
10, why you 10, sir?
Well, despite some stuff that happened this morning, it was just a good day. I woke up feeling energized, ready to go.
Okay. And just, let y'all know my boy was in a real critical situation early in the day. And I thought he was going to have to use his military tactics, but luckily he didn't have to.
All right. So how about you, Rocket? How you doing? Almost 7. I had on one of those days, we wake up in the morning, we feel like you feel like you're sick or you just down, but I had to push myself. I think it's one of them mental things that I could have laid in it, but I chose to get up and push through it. So hopefully,
glad you hit. to the right of him, we got Matt. How you feeling today, sir? Matt, 1 to 10.
I give myself an 8 today.
8? Why 8, sir?
Well, yesterday it kind of hit me. I had been slacking in some areas that I'm normally accustomed to kind of completing my tasks. As far as the gym, I feel like I've been slacking, so I tried to get back in there yesterday, do a bit of cardio. It didn't go well. It didn't go like all this stuff. Yeah. So just that and combination of just trying to make sure I get everything done, in a day, from getting up, going to work, trying to put something in my system as far as, breakfast, running around, make sure Warwick gets where he needs to get, and then, Eddie and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, remaining emotionally available for my spouse, and sometimes it's a task, and, when you're trying to do a million other things. So I done myself an 8.
I love it. So I'll go ahead.
Just to touch on that. So this weekend we have to go to it's her mother's birthday there. Medieval time in Orlando. Mm-hmm. She asked me to dress up, and I thought about you. You see what you gotta do it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do it. So yes.
And I even love that because that opens up a bunch of conversations, topics we can touch on throughout this pod. So I'm excited to talk to you, man. So I'm from Ocala, Florida. So when I go to different places and I tell people where I'm from, I feel that I'm from a very small place. And I'm like, man, Ocala is small. But you from Palatka.
Yeah, from Palatka.
You from Palatka, Florida. So talk. So take me back there. Take me back to your childhood, man. And how did you grow up, and just the beginning.
Okay, so I'll take you back to the very beginning. So to the best of my recollection, this part is fact. My parents were migrant workers. We lived in San Mateo, Florida, actually. It's even smaller than Palatka. Just a few miles, we call it across the river, across the bridge, we used to call it. So it's Roxfolk, from Black, but we actually grew up in San Mateo. Okay. You know, we had all of us country boys, of course. You know, we had San Mateo on this side of the river, East Black. On the other side of the bridge, we had a Black boy. But of course, all of us was a Black guy. Grew up, you know, in a single wide trailer. Dad worked labor all his life. You know, mom worked, you know, odd jobs, you know, just keep pulling our backs and, you know, and get us fed. So it was nothing, well, I won't say it was nothing special because it was. But, you know, obviously nothing extravagant about our lifestyle. We just kind of made, you know.
So with the dynamics of your fam, what kind of stuff? So you just mentioned that mom and dad was in your household. So
right.
You had, how many siblings did you have?
Growing up, in my household, it was 4 of us, you know, for most of my childhood. And then I have a younger brother. He came along like way after us. He was kind of one of those late arrivals. Like his mom and dad weren't quite young. So he's like 12, 13 years behind my youngest brother.
Okay.
So he came along. Dad, he had other kids, you know, before, you know, the marriage. And so, you know, dad's kind of old school coach. So he was kind of, you know, just kind of getting around.
Yeah.
You know, so I got brothers and, you know, sisters kind of out there.
Yeah. So do you have any role models? So when I'm thinking growing up, my dad, you know, it still is my superhero. So did you and your dad have that type of bond growing up? Did you look up them, or do you have any other role models?
I would say my dad, and you talked about Facebook a minute ago. Every now and then I kind of allude to that. You know, I didn't inherit much. You know, my dad still living, of course, but you know, I didn't get any riches or anything like that from him. But he taught me how to work. So, and one thing he always said, sons, it doesn't matter how much money you make, as long as you have a job, everything will be all right.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of been my motto and kind of how I live.
Yeah. So most people, so the Placa, so Ocala, I guess it hurt me in a couple ways, but it helped me grow in a lot of ways. So you being from Placa, your childhood experiences, if you could put into words, how did being from there, the way you grew up, influence the person that we're sitting on this stage right now?
I think being from Palaca, I don't think it necessarily hurt me, you know, being from Palaca. Obviously, there's not a lot of opportunity for us career-wise. I mean, you worked at police department, sheriff's office, school board, and there's a paper mill there, of course, GP, and the Seminole power plant. That was pretty much it. My first job was in the furnace factory. That's, well, of course, it's since slowed down, but you know, I worked my first summer there at the high school. I worked there 45 hours a week. It's probably like 1,000 degrees in there.
Yeah.
You know, making I think we made like $4.25 an hour, something like that. You know, so again, I had that work ethic. Took a couple classes, you know, here and there in college, and then I started working for the prison system.
Yeah.
And from there, I just always wanted more. So again, I think it probably helped me. You know, growing up in a small area. I will say it, I didn't want to go back. You know, I never wanted to go back and live, you know, in Palaca because there wasn't enough there for me.
Sure.
So I would say it helped me growing up in that area.
Yeah. So like you say, you did the prison system. So that transitioned into a lot of what got you in. So I looked it up. You did like maybe about 19, 20 years, 15, something like that.
Yeah, prison system, I worked there a little over 97 to 2012. What is that about?
That's a lot. 12 plus 7, 3, 15.
About 15 years I worked in the prison system. Of course, then I went on to the sheriff's office, worked the road. And which I still do. And from the full-time at the sheriff's office, Dr. Stacy Dixon, who was in my current position, he retired at the college, and I was able to get that opportunity there at college in 2015.
Yeah. So before we go past it, so you had to like, so for to be in something that long, you had to like, because he worked for the prison for a little bit, but you know, he lasts too long. So what, it was just like a childhood thing that you wanted to go into law?
For me, the prison system is not where I wanted to be. I told my dad I was 18 years old, graduated high school. I said I want to be a state trooper. They say, that's saying too small.
Yeah.
Okay. Say too small. I mean, of course, like many of us when we were younger, we were a lot lighter. You know, I think I was probably maybe 120, maybe 125 if it was raining, maybe.
I can't even see that.
Yeah. And so they know, son, yeah, you're too small, you end up getting hurt the whole nine. So, of course, I'm 18, I'm grown now. I had a girlfriend at the time, and, we were living in a little apartment there. So I said, you know what?
Okay. You moved in with your girlfriend at 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was already out. I was already around. Yeah, Dad had a lot of rules.
Yeah.
So I didn't get out of there. And so, I decided, I was going to go work for the prison. So, I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I went, I applied, I got hired, brought my uniform back to my mom's house, got it in my pants, and the rest is history.
So through that experience, so there was never no time of like, this isn't for me, or I want to find something else. Like, what was that made you stick through that thing 15 years?
So initially, my first night there, because I worked on the compound for a few weeks before I actually went to the academy. I think they're still pretty much doing the same thing now. So within my first 2 or 3 nights there, end up at a use of force incident, with an inmate there, myself and a couple other officers that were working that night. And from that on, I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't worried about what could happen. I was like, man, it can't get too much worse than this, so I think I can stick it out. So as time went on, I was pretty good at it. I was able to promote, several times. When I left, I was a captain already. So it was just one of those things. I kind of fell in love with the job.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to do other things.
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity to go and work, in law enforcement, I did.
And when you hear stories about working in prisons and different things, there's a lot of bad stories you hear. And, I kind of wonder, so how did that help you in that time? I guess you working in that system or being a part of that. There anything that I guess helped you, or being a part of that, or helped you grow, that helped you, to get to where you are now?
For me, like I said, when I first started at 19 years old, of course I was scared. I had heard all the stories too. But, after you see a few fights and, a few different incidents, you realize, it's all contained. Nobody's walking around with guns. You might find a shank every now and then, a knife. But other than that, it's just, people just having disagreements and getting into fights every now and then.
Yeah.
To me, that was the worst thing that was going to happen.
Yeah, a fight.
So, and I was okay with that.
Mm-hmm. So you transitioned from there, and you went to be a police officer.
Yeah.
All right. So you're a black man, a black police officer. So you kind of went against all the hood rules.
It's funny you say that because after I left the prison and, I had taken the crossover academy, there at CF. So all of a sudden now I'm in the green and white. Nobody knew my name because I wasn't originally from Ocala. Now the people that knew me, but everybody else, I was like that.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who I was.
I about to say, was it many when you joined? Was it many black?
Working on the road at the time. I'm trying to do this without naming people.
Yeah.
It may be working on the road. It maybe was 2 or 3 others.
Yeah.
That were working on the road as deputies.
Not a lot.
And that was back in 2012 when I started there. It may have been like 2 or 3 on the road that were working deputies back then.
How old were you at this time?
We make me do math. I was in my early, I guess I would have been in my early 30s.
Okay, so what I was getting at, it was the perception. So how did you feel any pressure, I guess, from the community or your friends or anybody, where you come from, as when you came into law enforcement, were there any negative backlash that you were getting?
Well, again, I was a little older.
Right.
So I had already experienced some of that when I started working for the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, on certain scenes you go on, of course, you're going to hear, some of that. I wasn't 10-foot tall or anything like that, but, I was a pretty healthy guy, and, the vest makes you look a little bigger. So, so a lot of times, once you get on scene and, a lot of law enforcement is command presence.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, you're looking sharp and you look like you know what you're doing. You're really not going to hear too much, of that negative stuff. But of course, there's always one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to catch some of that heat, but nothing that made me feel like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
It was nothing like that. Again, I was a lot older, a lot more mature. I just kind of smile and keep it moving. Yeah.
So y'all two had pretty, I feel like, similar experience. The military and I feel like law enforcement are pretty similar when it comes to the dynamics. That's just my opinion. I'm not sure. When you went in from the inside, so not from the community or the people you know, how about from the police officers? How did they perceive you? How was it? Was it any pushback with them, with you being the black guy, or how did that go?
No, I had some pretty good FTOs. They were pretty down to earth. And again, I think it helped because I was a little older, and I had some life experience, behind me. I think at the time I already had either a bachelor's degree or a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like, I was this young, African-American kid.
Smart Negro.
Right. Yeah. So I was, as they described me, I was pretty sharp.
Yeah.
The one thing that a lot of them did tell me, a lot of the other deputies told me that when they, got to know who I was and things about me, they said, well, you're not going to stay here. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you're not going to stay here. There's not enough here for you. You're not going to stay here. And I was like, I didn't feel like that at the time. My plan was I was going to do my 25 years and then I was going to retire and then I was going to, do something else with the education that I had.
Yeah.
But, as it turned out, opportunity presented itself. Back in 2012, and Dr. Dixon retired. And that was simultaneous to another life event of mine. I had a major knee surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Rogers was my surgeon, and he told me, it's like, Mac, he was like, I don't know if you're going to be able to work law enforcement anymore. So I had a decision to make. As they say, a bird in the hand.
Right.
And that bird in the hand was the opportunity to work at college, and that's what I chose.
Did the knee surgery just come from old stuff, or how did that come about?
No, so I was working the road one night, and I go ahead and talk about that now. I was working the road one night. Got behind this pickup truck, had run a red light. Of course, they took off on me. So man, I chased them up and down 35th Street, down 441, back down 35th Street, and they hopped out on me, of course. And so if you ever saw them in my uniform, again, I like to be sharp. I don't wear the boots or anything like that. I like to wear my patent leather shoes, because they're always shot.
Yeah.
So of course it's 3 or 4 in the morning. The roads are a little damp, from fog. So I'm wearing these patent leather shoes, and I slipped, and and I busted, and I eat at knee first, on 19th Avenue, over there off 35th Street, and I didn't know it at the time, but I caused significant damage in my right knee.
So were you able to get up from that situation?
I got up, I got home, my knee was probably about this big. But again, I hadn't been in the sheriff's office that long, so I didn't tell anybody. I only told my zone partner at the time. So I worked probably another year. I did SWAT trials on that same knee. I got a buddy of mine to shoot me up with some pretty cool drugs so I can get me trial.
Yeah.
And immediately after trial, I found out I made the team, and that's when I went ahead and had the surgery.
Yeah. So with the knee thing, when you chase the dude, he got away.
He got away that night. Yeah, he got away that night.
Yeah.
But of course, and I teach recruits this now. You're not gonna catch everybody, but one thing about it, the criminal element, it always comes back around.
Yeah.
They're not gonna stop being criminals that night.
Yeah. So you this guy ended up getting caught sooner or later. So you knew who he was when he got away?
I knew who he was. I couldn't quite put him as the driver of the vehicle.
Okay.
Because when they hopped out, I could see them both.
Mm-hmm.
But by that time I couldn't determine, who was driving.
Mm-hmm.
So came back to work. A few weeks later, there was an accident at 441 and 326. So get there, 2 cars pretty mangled up, whatever. So I, look, peep in the ambulance, and guess who it was?
Oh.
So I just get in the ambulance. I look at him and I say, "You remember me?" He just kind of gives me this look, and I stepped out of the ambulance and went about my business.
That's crazy. So you think life just can't make up? Right to tell this how life works.
We're doing that.
Yeah. So I want to go a little deeper as far as your experience as a black police officer. Mm-hmm. So was there any unique experiences that I guess that just changed your perspective on life, for the good or for the bad? Because so many times we get trapped into how we think. So for example, you being a black police officer, even from the outside, most black people say you one of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Black men, you one of them. Now you're Uncle Tom, you and all these different things. was there anything that you dealt with or experience that you went through in law enforcement that helped you broaden your perspective?
Okay, so again, being the new guy, once I got done with my 3 phases of FTO, past final phase, now I'm on my own as a law enforcement officer. So I have the old Crown Vic. I think it had about 250,000 miles on it. So I wasn't assigned to a zone yet, so I was just kind of floating. So I said, okay, maybe we want you to go to EL2A and work day shift. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking to myself, man, I heard there were no black people in EL2A, EL2A, the forest, that area. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I'm just out there all day. I'm answering calls. So I get this one call, and it's like an address. So, of course, I have no idea where I'm at. So I'm using GPS. So I'm going down a million dirt roads, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm like, what if something happens? Because the radios, they kind of get kind of shady back there in that area, too. And I'm like, man, what if I get hung or something like that? I'm thinking all these things that go to this is what I've been being told all these years. So I get back there, and, they have that sugar sand back there. So I'm going, the old Crown Vic kind of start bouncing, and all of a sudden, stuck. Yeah. Okay, I can call the dispatch, maybe get a tow truck, get some, man, that's going to be like 2 hours, 3 hours before they get there. So, old guys come by the old truck, so he comes by the first time, he doesn't speak, kind of goes about his business. I'm like, okay, so, I'm doing the old man thing. I'm out just looking at the tire. Like, if I look at it long enough, it just got a wrist. So a few minutes later, that truck comes by, he hops out. I'm like, man, here we go. So it's one of those fight or flight, as they call it. So say, you know what? This is going to be cool. He walks up. How you doing, sir? Stuck? Yes, sir. Hang on just a minute. Walks back to his truck, gets his old rope, pulls me out. I say, thank you. He goes on about his way. Yeah. And that forever changed my perception. Yeah. The forest, Hog Valley, all these, stories that I've heard. Yeah. And from then on, every time I got a chance to, answer calls in the forest or EL2A or wherever, I was ready to go.
Yeah. That's kindness, man. And it has to be, because I just had an interaction like that here recently. I think it was probably a couple months ago. I was over, my car just wouldn't crank up, so I didn't know what it was, but the lights in the car were still on. So in my mind, I'm like, can't be the battery if the light's still on in here. But somebody, I think it's called my pops, and he was like, might be your battery. I'm like, how is the battery if the light's not come on? But anyway, I didn't have any cables. I called somebody to come help me, and I forget who came up there to help me. But anyway, there was some gentlemen, like the gentleman with the trucks that be hanging out at the store, the white boys that be at the store hanging out. At the bunch of them in the crowd over there. It started raining. Yeah. So you think somebody just gonna, man, them boys came over there, all of them came over there with these trucks, helping us, like everything I needed in the rain. You know what I mean? So little stuff like that, I was like, come on, bro. Like, little actions like that, it's like, cause I don't even know if I would have went and helped them in the rain. You know what I'm saying? And they don't came out of their way to put, themselves to help me in the rain. So
there's so many of those situations, in our lives that we run into, and we're thinking one thing and it's totally not like that. We've been going to Hogwaller now, a couple of years now. Of course, we go out there, and, it's, for the most part, it's white guys and their families, but of course we're out there with our families or whatever, but man, I've never been shown so much love, in one place, hey, how about we call it, can we eat with you guys, cook to bring food and the whole nine, hey, you guys want some moonshine, it's just a totally loving experience. I hadn't had a bad experience out there.
Yeah. And imagine if we can create so many, because a lot of you hear about, growing up in North Marion, you hear so many stories about how you don't go out there, all these different things that deter you from one of the best experiences that you probably ever can have. So how many times, so many people limit themselves because of that, because of what they heard, because of what they told. Man, that made me think of a story. So one of our boys, we sell T-shirts. So this one of our community day T-shirts if you want to buy one. But while boys, we were selling T-shirts, and we upped the price, because we were telling, man, you buy a Nike shirt for like $40. Right. You don't think, your brand is worth the same amount? Mm-hmm. So we were challenging, and they were like, all right, bet. So I think they pushed the shirt to like $25, $30. Mm-hmm. And they were hyped. They were like, yeah, bet. We going to do it. Mm-hmm. One of our boys left and went home, and I guess he must have told his people how much he sold, and they were like, boy, ain't nobody buying that shirt. Mm-hmm. So the first thing he do when he come back to us the next morning and say, hey, man, I think we should change the prices of them shirts. Be like, what happened from last night to the morning?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That quick.
They said, well, my people say ain't nobody. I said, man, that's one person. You know how many people there is in this world? And, you know, we had to go through that whole thing because so many times we let one person deter us, you know, from reaching or going to where we're trying to go. But you can understand it when somebody has that much influence over you. But it's still, it's so many people in this world that we'll let one little person, two people tell us something, and that'll change our perspective of something. And we won't even, you know, try to interact with whatever that is. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's multiplied daily because, you know, what we hear a lot of times from, you know, young black males or young black females, young adults, period, what's the first thing they say about their friendship?
Mm-hmm.
I like to limit my circle.
Yeah.
You know, where you limit your opportunities, your experiences, you limit all that because we want to limit your circle.
Yeah. And you how long you started coaching the youth athletics? How long have you been coaching the youth?
I coach with Coach Kenyon. I coached with Coach Kenyon like 3 years. That was back in 15, I think, and I took a little break. And I've been out there with Coach White now, going on my 3rd year.
Mm-hmm. So you say 3 years, 30 years. So in youth athletics, what do you think is the biggest? So we got, I don't know if youth athletics everywhere is like ours. So obviously it's a lot of drama and stuff that go on in across youth athletics. What is it? Let me just get your broad perspective when it comes to youth athletics current state right now. How do you feel about youth athletics?
I think it's something that is definitely needed in our community. Is it the catch-all for all the followers of the youth? You know, no. But I think there's a need for, you know, young men or old men and, you know, old women, young women to, you know, help wherever they can in youth sports. Because a lot of our youth, you know, they need sports. Yeah. A lot of them need sports and they don't even know that they need sports. So just as the broad perspective, I think is necessary. Yeah. And I think if we can, you know, we should, you know, participate in it. Yeah. Me personally, you know, because we're humans, we're selfish, you know. So after this year, I said, you know what? I said, you know, I've been with Coach White 2 years. I think I'm gonna hang it up. You know, I got this going on, I got that going on, and I sat and I thought about it. You know, I said I was out here with these kids. This is my 2nd year out here with this team. You know, these kids need you to be out here for sure. You know, because they need to know that they can call me or they can call, you know, my wife. Hey, Miss Aisha, we want to stay tonight this week. Mm-hmm. You know, so we got, you know, 6, 7 kids, you know, at the house. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, next season, where are they going to go when they need to stay the night from them? You know, is anybody else going to let them stay or, you know, they going to ride them, you know, on the 4-wheeler or, you know, let them play the video game all night, you know, where they got to go. You know, so that's my job. So I can't quit. Yeah.
What philosophies do you have? So when it comes to coaching, is there any specific like philosophy that you coach through? So like most coaches have like slogans. Like I can remember times when I was on teams, lead no doubt, or, you know, just certain, you know, philosophy that coaches bring, you know, and do you push? Is there any certain like tagline and philosophies that you have?
For me, it's always discipline first. Yeah. It's always discipline first. I mean, we have some pretty athletic kids. I mean, all you guys are athletes, you know. I mean, being athletic, I mean, again, that's special. Yeah. I mean, if you got a gift, I mean, that's special. But for me, if you have no discipline, if I can't tell you, hey, Jamie, go run down to the pole and come back, you know, without you kind of,
yeah,
you know, then to me, you're not a well-rounded athlete. And I don't care how many touchdowns you can run. Yeah. I don't care. And if I can't, by the end of that season, you know, get you disciplined, I don't care if we went, you know, 12-0 or whatever. I didn't do my job as a coach.
And you did. So you got a broad range of perspective. So from working in the prisons to working in law enforcement to working with, you know, athletics, what are some key like things that you could peep that deters or, you know, point is that, oh yeah, you're not gonna be successful. Like what are some things that across the board that a lot of those people had in those environments that you come from that were the same, that tendencies you can be able to see is like that's gonna lead you to destruction? What are some key across the board? What are some things you see?
Simply put, either you think you can or you think you can't.
Yeah.
You know, and if you think you can't, my job is to make you think that you can. Yeah. But if every day all you're saying is I can't, I quit, I mean, no matter what you're doing, you're not going to have a positive outcome.
Anytime you ever felt like that? Anytime in your life you ever felt like you can't, like, you know, so because we can point other people's side. Yeah, yeah. So what are some of those signs in your life where you was like, I can't, or you was about to give up? What are some of those signs?
So it was the fall of 2016. So I had been working on my dissertation for about a year. And I mean working on it, I mean like I had been working on it. I mean day in, day out, you know, all night, you know, sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night, you know, getting rejection after rejection. So I go to one of my meetings at the college, and the VP that I work for, another VP, were in there, and so I'm just in the meeting, you know, my eyes are open, you know, but I'm not really paying attention because I'm so tired. My eyes are bloodshot red. I hadn't had a haircut, you know, and my VP looked at me and said, "Mike, just go home."
Get up.
He said, "Just go home."
Yeah.
And so I walked out, you know, got in my vehicle, I drove home, opened my laptop, and here I am working on this dissertation again. I only get another email rejection that night from my last submission. I said, "That's it." Mm-hmm. Said, "I quit." I said, "I have a decent job already. I already have a master's degree. I don't need it."
Yeah.
You know, I said, "I quit." I mean, I cried all night. I just gave up and said I quit.
Yeah, that's tough. So in your current role, because I want to get into some community stuff. So we all live here in Ocala, and I want to get your perspective on where we are as a community. You have you're tapped into when it comes to law enforcement and the things that are going on. So your current role with the college, correct me if I'm wrong, you got appointed to that position?
No, I had an interview with
Okay, so I thought I looked it up and say you got appointed. I was about to go, special.
Yes, they worded it like that.
Okay, but
I had to interview the whole night.
Okay. So what are you, as in Ocala, as a community? So we get up here every week, and we're talking about different topics. One thing that we hit on a lot is the do for self mentality. So we think we have to, you know, instill in people that, you know, nobody's going to give you anything. You got to do it yourself. You got to be able to, you know, get those skills that you need to be able to, you know, chop down a tree yourself and stop waiting on somebody else to bring you something.
Yes, sir.
So you are yourself as a man, and I see, like, again, your little monologues you write up, and you be writing some good stuff. What are some things that you think is just missing from our community to help us to, I guess, go into the right direction, the direction you think we should be going? What are some things we're missing out?
Father male involvement.
Yeah.
Would be one. Our willingness to collaborate with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even people who have different opinions, you know, to collaborate with those people also.
Yeah.
So I guess overall just a willingness to collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, to reach a common goal. Even if I think, you know, it can work this way, and Mr. Miles says, "Well, you know what, Mac, I think, you know, we should try this." You know, instead of us talking about it, collaborating, we just don't talk to each other. See, no, that seems to be the easy way out, and I think that's a major piece that's missing. A lack of tolerance, for sure. You know, so if I can name three, I think.
And I share with you this, so you just say like-minded. One thing I've always said, like-hearted. So like-minded is, you know, we don't have to think the same way, but we got our hearts in the same place, that we can accomplish the goal. So again, if I know that you and me have the same heart for whatever we're here for, at the end of the day, we're going to figure to work it out. Right. It's beautiful that you're thinking a different way, because you're going to make this environment or whatever we at better because of your diverse perspective. And once we put our minds together with the right heart, we're going to be able to make it better. And I think so much times we got like that like-minded thing was always like something that was told to you. So you always start searching for somebody that thought like you. There's no beauty in that. What I need you, if you're thinking the same way as me, exactly. What I need you around me for.
I want somebody that's going to tell me no.
Right.
You know, tell me no and then tell me why you told me no.
Right. And be solution-based. You know, a lot of time I think everybody problem-based. Like, they bring problems. Like, every time you come around, it's a problem. Like, bring the solution. Even if you got a problem, bring the solution behind it, or what you think can bring the solution. Like, you can help us go somewhere. If you come every day and you call my phone and you, oh, well, it is, okay, so what are we doing from here? You know what I mean? I think that's a training, even with the boys. Like, hey, when they come in, you know, they just bring you a problem. Well, she did it. Okay, so what are you going to do now? It's always about the next step, and then that goes back to the do-for-self mentality. The do-for-self mentality even teaches you to be that thinker, be a problem solver, be a person that, you know, you in any environment you go in, you make it better. You know what I mean? You're not taking away from that environment. And I think in our community, too many people take away from the environment when they come in. You know, I mean, too many people are coming in being selfish, not being lighthearted, being selfish and trying to get their own. And this goes from, you know, children to adults. You know what I mean? Everybody, they in it for self. What can I get out of it? You know, you call somebody phone, and I've been in meetings, and this is a little funny situation. So me and this brother were in the meeting, and these not too long ago. And in the meeting, we were figuring things out. They were like, well, this young man, he do this. This young man, he do this. And there was one brother in that I guess he was like big on social media, had a big social media following on YouTube and all that. And I forget what we were in that meeting for when we went. That was during the summer, and we went right down here. You remember when we went on right down MLK? Well, down about, I forget what it was about.
But they in youth ball.
Youth violence. It's probably somebody had got killed. Right? So we in there talking, chopping up, everybody giving, I'm in here to do this. The brother had a good little platform, good following. I went beeline. Once he said what he did and what he had, I beeline to him because I have a solution for you. I can work together and we can make some work. I said, man, hey, look, I got a platform. If you can get some of your following to follow my, you know, we could do something together, bring some more awareness to what we got going on. Yeah, let's number. You think I follow? You think that brother called or answer my calls, anything? No. So people is just in it for self. He was in that role to see what he could, get.
What he needs you for, you might dull his shine. You feel what I'm saying?
But that's how people think. That's how people think. Like, I'm gonna take more from you, and that's where we go wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's never you or we, and we've dealt with that even in the space we in with different nonprofits and mentoring nonprofits that were coming up when we were coming up. It was always it brought conflict because it's turned into a competition, which I don't think is a bad thing. Now that's another thing.
It's not competition. Competition can be healthy.
It can be healthy, and that's what it's about. It's about communication of that because there's something even been in the nonprofit space because the nonprofit space is more like a friendly type of vibe, and there's not a lot of male leaders in the nonprofit space. So I'm a part of different committees within the nonprofit space, and it's a lot of females. So they try to make everything like, kiss it, kiss, which ain't no problem. So like the little solution with the Gift for Marion thing. The Gift for Marion is, I'm trying to win. I want to raise the most money than everybody. So I come from competition. I come from a background of sports, so I thrive off competition. I think too many times we get caught into, making competition a bad thing. And competition is not a bad thing. If we not trying to, do no sneaky stuff, right? And we all in the line of, doing everything the right way between the guidelines, I think competition should be good. Mm-hmm. So we got a healthy competition, you know what I mean? Even with the boys, I was just talking like compete. That's how you put you got to find little motivation things. Just in the classroom yesterday over here at Fort King, the young man, he was sitting so like aimlessly. He was just sitting there, but he had no motivation. And I'm like, what you want to be when you grow up? He's like, I don't really know. And so I was sitting there, I was like, man, we got to figure it out. I was like, for me, I ain't like school. I love football. This just was a part of what I had to do to play football. So this what made me go. So through that conversation, I'm sitting talking to him, and he's steady, But as we're talking, you can see him rising up a little bit more because I'm getting to his level. And then it got to a point, I was like, man, you got something you want, like something you can see yourself as. And through that, he said, I want to be a sports agent. Mm-hmm. He didn't say it like that confident. He was like, I thought about being a sports agent. I said, boom. I said, stay right there. Yeah. Rich Paul. Man, I went right into Rich, pulled my phone out, pulled up YouTube videos of Rich Paul. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy Rich Paul been doing a lot of interviews lately. He had just did a streaming thing with it's a famous streamer, Casanet, that all the boys are watching. He just did one with him. So I pulled that up. Go watch your homework. Go watch this. When you come back on Monday, I need you to tell me everything. You break this thing down. But I put it into his environment to build like a competitive type of thing. Because now it was another young man in the room, and now I gave him the same thing. Now it's a competition. Whoever can come back to me and give me the most, the winner. So that competitive, but that's healthy competition. Because now we're trying to push each other. But I think imagine if we as men, so us men right here, we in the circle, all right, and we all married men, who gonna love on their wife the best? You get what I'm saying? Who gonna do all these different things? Just think that's healthy competition. That help push us forward. All right. You think you can love your wife better than I love mine, brother mine? Oh, yeah. You talking about? Oh yeah. But no. So that thing I kind of want to spin it, man. So I have a saying that or I heard a saying, but I took it on as mine. I forget where I get it from, but every man should take on one child that's not their own. So every man should hold himself responsible for one child that's not their own. and you embody what I'm talking about. You embody that saying. So think about it. If every man in our community took responsibility of one child that's not their own, how much better, this would be. How much more love, kids will be. Another thing, this is our life. We were just in the room last Wednesday, 15 young boys. Asked a simple question: who has their father in their life? Out of the 15, 4 boys raised their hand.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 boys that have their father in their life, I asked the question. I said, out of you 4, who lives with their father? Everybody hand went down. So you got 15 boys, 4 have a relationship with their father, and out of the 4, they don't live with their father. That's a problem. Yeah. That's the statistics, just like you say, and that creates the environment we created. You took on the responsibility of taking care of a young man that we so happen to have the privilege to mentor. Mm-hmm. So how did that come about? What made you take on that responsibility?
Okay, so this was in 2010. Yeah, and the math is not my thing unless I start counting my money. So yeah, back in 2010, I was still working in prison at the time. So my wife called. She was like, "Hey, this girl that does my hair, she asked us if we want to be godparents." I'm like, okay, cool, girl, boy, whatever. It's a little boy. Okay, cool. So by the time I get home, I go look on bed. It's a little baby, laying on the bed. Yeah. Like whether you already here, then you just call me at it. Yeah. So, I'm Google Gaga, the whole 9. So we're having the whole weekend, so the weekend passes, and now it's Monday. I think to myself, well, we got to go to work, he's still there. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go to work, and, she goes to work, and I get back home in the afternoon, and there's a little boy again. So, but okay, whatever. So a couple weeks go by, and he's still here. Yeah. So while I asked, like, hey, is he, go home? Oh, his mom asked if we kind of look at him for a little while, whatever, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So those, few weeks turned into years, and those years have just turned into a lifetime. Yeah. It's been 13 years now. That we looked at the bar. Yeah. His mom, of course, she lives local, and she is in his life. And, his dad is incarcerated. I'll say that publicly. It's not a secret. But we call him our godson, but to him, I'm his dad. Yeah. To him, that's no disrespect to his biological father. Yeah. But to him, I'm his dad. Yeah.
And it's crazy because y'all look alike, and I know you get that all the time.
Man, listen. So my birthday was a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So I put this picture on Facebook, and it was me when I was like really young, maybe like 5 or 6. Everybody thinks that's Mark. Yeah. And why didn't you put that picture of Mark? I'm like, that's not Mark, that's me. Like, do you have something you want to tell us? I do have nothing I want to tell you.
Yeah. And was there any moments between in that I guess because obviously that's a big responsibility. Mm-hmm. So adopting that or taking that responsibility on, was there any moments that you was like, all right, maybe we need to rethink this, or maybe we need to go another way with this?
Initially, like I say, after the first few weeks, I was really, because it was new territory. I was like, man, what are we doing? Is this something that we should be getting involved with? So I go to work, and some of my best buddies I had been working with, for years, and I tell them about the situation I have, and I go ahead and publicly say this, it was one of my employees that worked for me. He was a young white man, and we're sitting there talking, and he said, Mac, stop talking for a minute. He's like, no, seriously, just stop talking. So I stopped talking. So I sit there, he's just looking at me, and he says, if you have an opportunity, to help raise this young man, I don't see what the problem is. I was done. Thank you. Well, I was done. From that point, I was like, you know what? I'm like, you're right. Yeah. He was like, is there any reason why you can't? I said, well, no. He said, well, you have me answering. Yeah. That's powerful. Saying. So when I finished, of course, I moved on from the prison system and onto the sheriff's office and onto the college. So when I finished my dissertation, my staff assistant at the college, she wanted kind of do me like this little mini celebration thing in the office. So of course my wife was there, the employees that, you know, work under my supervision in my office, they were there. My VP was there, and I called that young man because I wanted him to be there. And he was there.
So I want to hit this even personal. So for me, my current girlfriend, she has a son, and I plan to marry this young lady. So for me, I'll be, in a sense, taking on the same responsibility that you did. What are some of the challenges that you face, like during this journey to from then and now? What are some of the challenges that you face, and how did y'all get through them?
Okay, so also, I mean, Kyria, I mean, I have stepdaughter also, and she's in the bar, so that's probably more like your situation. I mean, there's going to be, you know, challenges. I'm not going to say you're not going to be without challenges, because as kids get older, especially if they have you in your life, in their life, they have the mom in their life, and, you know, wherever dad is, you know, as, you know, to some degree, dad is going to be in their life also. So there's going to be some situation where they're going to be, well, Fanny said no, but, you know, Ed said yes, so, you know, let me go dad shopping, you know, a little bit, you know. And of course, we're men, we're territorial, you know, we're all probably alpha male, so, you know, Jade is going to say, well, in my house, you know, this is how we're going to do things. And sometimes, you know, that creates, you know, a conflict, you know. And what I mean by create conflict, a lot of times, you know, and I'll say this now, and at some point, I guess my wife will see this. A lot of times, it's not conflict with you and the child, you and your wife, or even you and the child's father. You know who's having a conflict?
Yourself.
You. A lot of times, we want to make things, you know, a conflict, and really it's minute stuff. You know, sometimes it's the simplest things. You know, because I can remember like flying off the handle about things. You know, just because in my own mind, I felt like I was being challenged. You know, so just thinking back, I probably say 99% of the time that I disagree with something that was happening, you know, and I'll say stepdaughter just for the purpose of the conversation, but of course, Kyria is my daughter too. It wasn't even a problem. You know, I just wanted to make it a problem so I can assert my dominance, you know, but it really wasn't even a problem.
Yeah. That's powerful. And I'm that guy. I like to swing. I like to swing my weight around. I like to swing my weight around. So how do you, I guess during those times, is it, so I guess you got through it with the realization of understanding. So I'm pretty sure that took time. But in those moments, so even like you say, even with Kyria, so raising her, there was some tough moments you get with her. I'm pretty, like you say, most kids, they play both sides. So if you ain't gonna do something, I'm gonna go try to find pops.
Well, Kyria was Kyria, you know, but you guys, you know, went to school with Kyria. Kyria's a good kid. You know, well now, young lady, I didn't have a lot of that with her. Like I said, actually, me and her dad actually have an awesome relationship. So he'll still text me, you know, every now and then, or I'll text him, and definitely every holiday, you know, he's gonna text or I'm gonna text, you know, or whatever, because we had something in common, you know. I respected him as being her biological father, and he respected me as being her father, you know, in the home. You know, we, you know, read her through high school, read her through college. Every time she moved, we moved her together. You know, we moved her from, you know, Ocala to Daytona to Orlando, back to Ocala, and wherever she decides to go next, we're going to move her there too. Because, you know, it wasn't her choosing, you know, to be in whatever situation she's in. All she knows is she needs to be loved, for sure. You know, and we as men, you know, we could do a lot of situations. You know, we see them all the time. You know, things got a hand. Now we're gonna run to Facebook. We're gonna argue about all that. Man, I'm 46 years old. I'm not. You know, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. That goes back to what Jamie said earlier about being like, I think you said like hearted and like minded.
Right.
It's like, I know you and I had conversations, or we had conversations before about, you know, so for instance at the game, and you know, in the junior coach game, you seen me on the fence talking to War, and he said that we was talking to me, you just turned around. Yeah, because of the level of respect that he had, you know, for us being his mentor. So if men, just people in general, but if men could be on the same page about the situation, there are a lot of things that we can we can change because we know one of the biggest things missing in the household is the father.
Mm-hmm.
And then if stepdad and dad on the same page, how much better would that? That's how we
Right. And so, and I shout you guys out, all the time about the work, that you do. I'm always brag on, the work what you guys doing. Like Eddie said, we're at a game, a few weeks ago, our team was getting our butts, man. Literally. Mm-hmm. And Bar, he's all upset, and I look around and he's on the fence. He's talking to this and I was like, my work is done here.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I can add, that, his mentor isn't already giving him. So, I'm going to be a man and I'm going to step back and let this man, do what he does.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. And that's another thing that's hard. I know that's easier said than done. So I don't, have my own kids, but I can only imagine because again, once my word is everything. So even in that moment, you know what I mean. I can see a father being, hey, come, you go, we get over here. Let me holler at you. Not caring, what this other man may be imparting into him that he may need, and knowing that he will receive it even better for him right now at this time. You know what I mean? So for you to be able to assess that situation and be able to do that's
well.
fine.
When Vari was he was having a difficult time, last school year or whatever. And again, I'm not, the perfect, dad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have all the answers. Sometimes my delivery may not be what he needs. So what did I do? I called y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, this is where we at. Y'all do something with it.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think your parent philosophies are? So as a parent, what are you mostly instilling? When it comes to your kid, because you do have, outside of our and Curia, you have another daughter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she's 21.
Oh, correct. So what are your parents' then philosophies? What are you instilling in your kids?
Well, for me, it's the same thing my dad instilled at me. Just work ethic. I mean, for my girls, get it for yourself.
Sure.
Don't depend on, some Prince Charming, to come sweep you off your feet. Because I know how some of these guys think these days. Unfortunately, I take care of you. I provide for you. I own. So, no, we're not doing that. You have your own stuff. And when you find love, then you find love. But you don't need a daddy. You already have one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, because when they feel left in, I'm gonna insert my dollar.
Yeah.
So you don't need a dad.
Yeah.
And for Barry, of course, I just want him to be disciplined. I want him to be a successful part of society.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him all the time, I said, Barry, whether you want to go to college and play sports, whether you want to go to the military, whatever you want to do, whether you want to go directly into the workforce, I mean, I'm gonna support that.
Yeah.
But for right now, you gotta let me guide you, through school, and I'm doing stuff around the house. Hey, I want you to stand here and watch me because I'm giving the speech that Daddy used to give me all the time, even though he's still living.
Yeah.
I'm not always gonna be here. You need to know how to do these things.
Yeah. And that goes right into what you were just saying. So it made me think back to in the beginning of our conversation. You talked about your dad, and when you say you moved out at 18, because you said what dad had too many rules. So it's funny because it made me think back to my niece. My niece, when she came back up here with us in Ocala, she had been with her mom in West Palm. She came back. As soon as she got back, we were raised off discipline. We were raised off structure. As soon as she got back, man, they would say, this is the day. Like, she just got back. They would tell her too many things. Man, my niece walked out. Oh, my gosh, too many rules. You get what I'm saying? But too many rules. But that's what I'm getting at. So you moved out for that reason. So when it comes to Bari, are you still taking that same approach, or are you doing it a little different?
No, because, again, Kira's 26, and she's still, she's back at the house with us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want her to leave anytime soon.
Yeah.
For one, it's, the economy right now is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to, buy housing, any of that kind of stuff. I don't want her paying, $2,000 or $3,000 for the rent of an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lot going on, in the world right now. She's a single female or whatever. I get nervous when she says, I'm going to public.
Yeah.
For sure. So, and the same thing with Vari, if as long as he needs to stay there, then he's gonna be it.
Mm-hmm. So, but as far as the disciplinary thing, so I guess because your dad, what I'm getting was probably like a disciplinary thing. So with him being, was he hard on you? Instead of putting words on you, I'm considering he was hard on you. Are you that same way? Or did you, because of maybe your experiences with him, maybe take it off easy somewhere in some other areas when it came to them?
Well, I try to be pretty even keeled as far as, the things I flip out about, and the things I kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's not as bad as, it looks, or I thought it was, initially. Now, of course, certain things are going to be a no-no. We're not going to be cursing in the house.
Yeah.
We're not going to be hanging around people who I know are no good. Certain time of night, you're going to bed. I'm getting the phone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as for just being like, a ward through the house every day, no. I mean, because I want him to not have an easy childhood, but I want him to be able to express himself. I want him to feel like, when he needs to talk to me about something, he's gonna come to me and talk to me, and not just say, well, he gonna tell me I'm wrong, but he not gonna listen to me.
Yeah.
Whatever. Because again, I'll say, years ago, I was that guy. And that's because of how I was raised.
Yeah.
But listening to other men, and my life experiences, that's not always the right course of action.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to sit and listen.
And having my dad, man, my dad and my mom too. So my mom is an enforcer too. So hey, we had it on both sides. But one situation in life when I got to high school, I realized my dad was for me. So I never thought he was against me, but he just made my life a little hard. I guess, if the thing I wanted to do, he wanted to lie me, and I never really understood it. But there was one situation we got into in high school and it changed our relationship for forever, because it was a situation where I was totally wrong. And if he would have told my mama that situation, my mama probably gonna watch this too, so dang, I all messed up. But we gonna hold to our guns, but I knew it would have got ugly. He kept that between both of us. And in that moment, I understood, you know what I mean? Because that was a time where he knew she couldn't do nothing in that situation. This was the man-to-man conversation that needed to be had. And we had that. And it was funny because he gave me like the silent treatment, like the guilt trip. So I had to come to him like, hey man, let's just talk. You know what I mean? So I kind of like pulled him out the side, but he dug into me good, but it was one of those like, this man, like, we good. You know what I mean? But it was those moments. I think every boy, and when I look at our boys, man, we mentor, I hate that they can't have that. And I know that's why we here for them, but I hate that they can't have that from their father, man. Because there's so many interactions like that boys need and they crave, man, from that father figure, or from their father. And I hate that they can't have it. So
and that's, I mean, as far as mentor, in a sense, we do that. Yeah. We had a teacher call yesterday, and first thing the last thing she said, I spoke to all three of them. She was like, they really look up to you. But as a father, we know how important a father is to us, right? So if they don't have it, I don't claim that I'm their dad. We may joke around about it, but I know the importance of the love, right? So I give them, if we know they don't have it, I'm gonna be this person in your life, and you don't never have to call me dad. I'm never gonna have to call you my son, but I'm gonna give you the same thing that I give my son, because I know how important it is that you need it. So I mean, to James' point, it's crazy when you do it. When you just tell them, you got one of them. If he mess up, hey, his mom make him call us. You can hear, like, what's going on?
But man, I mean, like, when you guys have the graduations, and I can see these kids, when you call them up for an award, or when they're marching in, or when Mr. Miles was making the whole concoction he was making up there. I mean, they're just so proud, to be a part of what you guys are doing. And even some of them their fathers were there. I was there. I'm a father, but at that moment, it's all about you guys.
Yeah,
and the work that you put into them.
Yeah, and we create this thing like that, man. This thing was meant to be that. So even from how we, with the gear and with the way we carry ourselves, it was built out that, because we want to show them, okay, we're from where you from. Okay, we were able to build something. You know what I mean? And this is a business, and we're not shy away from telling them that. Right. So our heart is for you guys, but this is a business. At the end of the day, you can do this. I think Bar even said that one day. We asked him what it was. Say Bar said, I want to run a cut different. You know what I mean? We inspire. A couple of them don't said that, but that's a thing. We looking for the next leader of our community. We looking for, but they're able to see that live, like they're a part of this thing. You know what I mean? They're a part of the birth of it. So they're going to be able to, by the time them kids is 18, you know how far this thing gonna be on God, and what they're gonna be able to look back and say, man, look what we done. Look what we helped create. But that's a sense of responsibility. That's a sense of like ownership. Like that's us. We help build that. But you know what that's gonna do to them? They're gonna know that the world is theirs. Yeah. I could do the same thing. I could build a business. That's why we do all the trips we do. That's why we do all the workshops that we do, because we instill into them that you could do this, man. And I come from a great household. I say this all the time. I didn't know a lot when it came to business, because that wasn't what I was, shown. I played football. That took up a lot of my time, and you know what I mean? But this is what it's all about, because it's bigger than football, which it's bigger than, the all the chaos and the nonsense that go on into our world that consumes a lot of our time. So we're able to, even with our social media, the way we pump out, man, we pump content out because we're trying to stay in front of their faces. We're trying to let them see. And a lot of our, like when you think of a nonprofit, most nonprofits gear like their messaging to the people that they want to donate to them, or the people that they want. Our messages goes for our kids. Right. That's who we talking to. We're not talking to the man over there that with all the money, because we going to change this kid's life, and that man over there with money ain't going to have no choice but give us something, because he's seeing the work that we doing. That's our focus, and I think that's the what we're trying to get across. And we've been doing a great job of it, man. And like I say, we're doing a great job of it. So we're just trying to keep the wheels going. But I do want to ask you guys this. So both of all y'all girl dads up here, I want to get all y'all opinion on this. So I don't know if y'all seen it, but Lil Boosie just caught a little backlash. You say his name, he calls backlash every other week by something he say. But he just said he was on live, and his daughter had got a boyfriend. And what he said was, and I've heard this say before, but I just want to get y'all opinion on it. He said, you could cheat on them, just don't put your hands on them. And he got a lot of backlash from saying that. But what do y'all take on that? We'll let you go first. Guess we'll let you spin what you think about that. What it's
that's first of all, I think that's stupid. I think that's stupid. I mean, especially being a married man. I see what infidelity can do to marriages. And some of my own friends, relatives, I've seen divorce because of cheating, dishonesty, whatever. Boosie, of course, he's a celebrity rapper, whatever he's calling himself, these days, and him having a daughter, he should be really ashamed, even saying something like that in public. And I think 2 weeks ago, the young lady, I think it was in Orlando, they found her in a shipping tank. Her husband had murdered, well, he's the suspect, in her murder. And I wrote something on Facebook, something like, I have, 2 girls, and I say, listen, for my girls, you get tired of them, they get on your nerves, you don't want them anymore, take them to a friend's house, drop them off at the police station, or just bring them back home. And that's how I feel about, their relationships, as a dad. They're both adults. I mean, I don't get involved in the nuts and bolts, what they have going on, but again, I hope that they never come. Yeah, that I have to exert my dominance.
yeah. Nah, that was so. How about you, Rocky? What you think about that?
As you were speaking, dog,
we ain't got there yet.
Not gonna lie, she now that she's in middle school, it's different. And certain things that I didn't have to think about, that I had to think about enough. So I just don't hurt.
yeah.
They gonna hurt.
How about you, brother Mike? What do you think about that?
Well, that's a dumb statement. For my daughters, main thing I teach them, and we try to instill upon them, first off, find when it comes to that time and you looking for a guy. Find a guy that first and foremost loves God and tries to honor God, because then as a parent, when you meet this young man and he actually shows that, then it kind of takes that stress off of you. And then that he's not going to put his hands to her or anything of that nature. Not to say that, just because you're a follower of Christ, that you're going to be perfect, but the chances greatly reduce. So it's more so about teaching them how to spot the actual, good young man. Then it's on us to be the example. Every day when you're in front of them and you with your wife, you honor her, You try to provide for her, provide that security, not just financially, but, you know, mentally, physically, you know, be there for them so that the girls see that as well. And then they'll sit there and remember that, what they grew up with, and they'll take that when they get older.
Yeah. Just if I may add one more thing to what Mr. Miles just said, you know, the party said about, you know, when your kids see you, you know, with your spouse, they need to, you know, see you loving your spouse. And again, you know, going back to, you know, age and maturity, you know, and I'll be transparent. As a younger man and a younger husband, you know, I know I was supposed to provide, you know, and I knew I was supposed to provide this one in the household, cut the grass, all that other kind of stuff. You know, again, that being emotionally available, you know, I wasn't quite there yet. You know, I wasn't quite there yet. But now, you know, as an older and more mature man, that's something that I want to see, you know, Vari and Kyria, you know, when me and Aisha interacting in the house, I'm going to be on her nerves. You know, if she's standing right here, I want to be right here.
Yeah.
You know, if she's in the kitchen, I'll be right behind her.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to see me loving, you know, on my wife. So they'll know what a relationship needs to be.
Yeah. So what?
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah. So what are y'all thinking? This is open for everybody. Like, what stops us from doing that? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's not the fact that you don't love your significant other sometimes. What so as a man causes us to be less affectionate sometimes, or be that standoffish type of, you know what I mean? What causes it? Because I feel most, I ain't gonna say most, but a lot of men do come off or are that way. So what do y'all think is the reason behind it? Is it just the way we were built? I guess the way, because it is, because even so for myself, so I'm not married, but even in my relationship, I remember in the beginning, my girl was the same way. Like, you need to start doing something different. But it wasn't like I was like naturally trying to not show you affection. It's just not who I am or who I've been. Like,
well, I think, you know, and I'll use the term naturally, but it's probably not necessarily that. You know, I've been married, you know, 17 years. So, you know, through time, you're going to feel like, okay, well, it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. I'm locked in.
yeah.
You know, I'm locked in, you know, she ain't going anywhere. So I don't have to, you know, walk up behind her, hug her while she, you know, in the kitchen cooking, or, you know, smack her on the backside when she, you know, in the laundry room or whatever. But we do need to do that. You know, we do need to do that. And I don't think it's a lack of, you know, per se manhood. I just think that, you know, after a while, you know, we kind of feel like, oh, well, you know, that's me right there. You know, she ain't going anywhere. And, you know, we're all men, so we can have this conversation. You know, I've been married to her 17 years, but, you know, oh, knucklehead behind that public, he just met her night. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and he might try to put more affection on her in line while she paying for her items than you done put on her in the past 6 months. You know, and again, I think we solid enough that she's not gonna bite on that, but I ain't gonna leave it a chance. You know, like I said, every chance I get, I'm a love order. I'm gonna show her affection, and let her know that, hey, I'm still here.
I think that's the beauty of that mindset. Like, if you approaching it like, what, I'm not gonna lose you, like what you said, but that can help you. And I think that is the biggest part, that mind, like this mind. Ain't nobody does.
Even with, until the doc told me that, like, at the cheerleading competition, being emotionally available, I would have never thought about it. Even the way that he broke it down, so then, you know, we go back to the mindset and what, you know, you don't know what you know. So we never had that conversation as men. We would never know. I would have never known till they actually do that. So now, I mean, I know I tell you all the time, like, if something happened, when she says something, and I tell you, I think about what you said in the wrong, you know, she dressed it up. I'm like, dog, hey, done. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I got it all. You know what I'm saying? But that, I think that has, so it's not that men just don't, it's like, I mean, it's not necessarily endless, but it's just, we like to talk about it to know that these are certain things that we should do.
Yeah, another man told me. So I said, I'm gonna pass this on to you because another man told me this.
Yeah. It's all, I mean, thing for each person is a little bit, it's subjective for the most part. You know, people have, you know, some people try to make it like a very generalized statement saying like, oh, well, men just not tapped into the, you know, emotional intelligence. For me, I know I can definitely be guilty of it. It's in the back of my head to do it. Like, it's a part of you. But I would say for me, I get so caught up in, especially because we're going on year 4 now in marriage. But it's just like the building aspect, because like in this phase we're still like building our our family, building up to where we know we can be at. So like that's my focus almost. And sometimes I get too tunnel vision with that. But yeah, with the building aspect, that like you said, sometimes you'll put that other piece on the back burner.
But for you, the plus is you're already acknowledging that.
Yeah.
For me, it took me a little bit longer, to kind of say it's time for me to switch gears.
Yeah.
So for you, it's great because you're already acknowledging.
Yeah, and for me, it's good to hear all y'all, to learn from y'all, brothers. Because I'm a great learner. Shoot, I learned from a lot of his mistakes. A lot of for real, a lot of stuff. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want that headache. So, but no, I think we do got to do a better job. Even like you say, in this space like that, how you was able to do that, like just checking up on each other in that sense. Outside of that. Now you good.
And I don't even know how the conversation started. I don't even know how we got there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, and we talked probably 30 minutes. 30 minutes or so. We sat there and we talked about it. The floodgates, he was being receptive to it, so I wanted to give him everything I had.
Yeah. And think about that, like the competitive thing that I told you that I just gave to the other young brothers. But if we trying to be competitive about how we loving on our women, you get what I'm saying? So, because there's so much that go on. We talk about it on here all the time. These phones, you kill these phones, and you ain't even trying to. You see somebody twerking, you see all this stuff that's just going on. That's just the world is feeding us, and it can allow you to lose sight of what you laying next to every night. You know what I mean? And I think we got to do a better job of just making sure that we, instead of asking about how the game was, hey man, you loving your wife the right way. You know what I mean? You doing what you need to do at the house. But I think that was a beautiful thing. So we could definitely learn from that, man. We might have to do a retreat or something, a man's retreat, talk about relationship building or something. That might be cool.
But so many other cultures, do that.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of times we let our own pride, man, ain't going nowhere, bunch, dude.
Yeah.
And we be thinking about it the wrong way. Think about it the wrong way.
Yeah, we try to make everything. I ain't gonna say that word. I might get canceled. We try to make everything.
I know where you come.
Yeah, we try to do everything.
We try to
sexualize everything.
Hey, that's not it. I mean, again, what has really helped with the longevity of my marriage is doing things with other couples.
Yeah. And I see y'all do that. I see y'all, y'all travel like in the wintertime with the families and stuff like that. I see that.
Right. It's awesome doing things with other couples. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I learned that as well. So one of I was in my Rotary Club. They brought in like this holistic health clinic or whatever it was. And so they asked, it was a question that said, what is the number one thing that you think is the most important to a person's holistic health? What do you think that is?
I would say being surrounded by other people.
Healthy relationships.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And that blew my mind, because my first thing I said, like, fitness. Along like, that was first thing that came to my mind. I like fitness. Like, make sure you're healthy, right, but it's healthy relationships. So just thinking about that. So healthy relationships is the number one thing to how healthy holistic health is, man.
It goes way back to the days of when we were taught Maslow's, hierarchy of needs. And, that was one of those things.
Yeah.
The need for relationships.
Dog, I do have a question for you though. Go back to a conversation you and I had way back when you tried to recruit me.
but yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. But just for the viewers and stuff, and definitely speaking to the adult demographic of our community, question I have for you is, oftentimes you hear about how representation matters, which I do agree. Representation does matter. They should be able to see themselves in people in different professions and leadership roles. But especially with a period of time where representation is so talked about, why is it that when it comes to law enforcement, we just have this wall built up, this barrier, where we will even go as far as to persuade people not to go into it.
Yeah. I don't know, I know why it is. Why it is big. Why we don't have them in the profession is exactly what you said. Because, grandma, or an uncle, or a cousin is gonna say, no, you don't want to do that, man. You want to be 12, you want to be a snitch, the whole nine. And they teach these kids that at an early age. Probably some of the guys that y'all mentor, you'll probably hear them say it, because somebody in that household has told them, no, that's not what you want to do. That's a white man's profession, the whole nine. But for me, Daniel, a while ago, you talked about problems and solutions. The solution to that problem is, me as a dad, if I know, in my adult mind, my adult mature mind, there's nothing wrong with working in law enforcement, to tell my boy, if there's something that you really want to do, I'm going to help you, to get there. I'm not going to listen to your uncle, who hates law enforcement because he ran from him last weekend. I'm not going to, listen to him and just allow you to pursue that. It's something that, again, I'm not even going to say as a community, I think as men, that we need to put out there. Are there bad cops? Yes. Yes. I mean, part of what I do, I sit on the Criminal Justice Status and Training Commission. And a function of that is, every quarter we have these meetings, we have disciplinary hearings. Officer so-and-so did this, officer so-and-so did that. And I'm going to have to decide, what kind of discipline, if any, if it's warranted, that we're going to hand down. So, of course, they're bad officers. They're bad black officers, they're bad white officers. I'm not going to talk about percentage because there's not an appropriate venue for that. But again, yes, there are bad apples, in the profession, but I don't think, that should allow anyone to tell, a potential employee, this is not the career for you. I saw you on social media, saw you around town a couple of times. I thought you would be excellent, at the job, and that's why I approached you. I was so impressed with Sean Price, for example. I was so impressed with him just from a barbershop conversation. Of course, knowing him, watching him, being an athlete, through the years, I called the chief personally, and I said, hey, I need you to talk to this young man. He called him that afternoon. He almost got hired on the spot. So when we see, those in our community who can give something back to our community, we need to, foster them along if that's a profession that they want to pursue. I know we think at firefighters all the time, but it'd be law enforcement, if they want to be firefighters, whatever it is they want to do, we need to, foster them up, to those goals, not just because, don't say no just because daddy or granddaddy didn't do it, and again, but we'll bring that problem. Mr. Jamie, man, we only got, 3 black deputies, or, Price is the only black cop I ever see in Ocala. That's a problem. The solution is, hey, Mr. Jamie, you got a young man that is interested in working law enforcement. Can I talk to him?
Fair enough.
That's the
Yeah. Man, I love that, man, because we got to start doing that. As far as when I got back, I felt there wasn't nobody that was trying to put people on, in a sense. Because that's what you were doing when you're reaching out. So you're putting them on. Hey, you may not know what this is. Let me put you on the opportunity as a availability. And like you say, even with Sean, you know what I mean, and what he's doing, I love that he took that on. Could be even with him. We about to have him up here too. But that's, coming from where we come from, that's just not it. He an athlete, so many things he had nobody could see. That just came out of nowhere. So you can only, imagine the backlash he took when he started being a police officer. I actually seen, funny story, I seen him on the he had somebody pulled over on the side of the road, and I hit it. I hit a unit. I pulled it right beside. I said, man, let that man go. I said, let that man go. And I told the dude, I said, one thing you better not do is just don't run, bro. whatever you do, don't run.
If Sean almost me over, I'm going to just get out and put my hands behind him.
No.
That's no. That is a large man.
Not raw, boy. It's going to end up bad for you. But nah, man, we definitely appreciate you taking the time to come up here and chop it up with us.
I love being up here with you guys, and thank you all for the invite.
Yeah. So we got to, like I say, I love the aspect of what we just got into the relationship thing. 'Cause like I say, even myself, even trying to grow, in that field, I think it is something we should do. Even with our boys, just teaching them what it looked like, to love on a woman and, showing affection, okay? Because I definitely at a young age, you trying to be I ain't let's do it. I won't do that. No, all that too, but just allowing them to see that it's okay, you know what I mean, to be vulnerable and to be that when it comes to a woman as well. So that'll be pretty cool. But other than that, man, y'all fellas got any other thing I want to touch on with Matt? Questions? All right, so I'm gonna do this. So we just had our community fun day this Saturday, December the 2nd, man. We thank everybody that came out. We had a wonderful event. I think we had roughly about 500 plus people come through the event. So thank you to our vendors, thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to everyone that came out to enjoy the day. And most definitely, thank you to our volunteers. You guys helped make the day successful. So we got a lot of events coming soon. As far as with Cut Different, in the new year, we're gonna have our casino night and the different other things coming throughout the year. But we're gonna make sure that right here on this platform that we're gonna keep you aware of what's going on. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment to this page. All right, so Cut Different Inc. on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. You can follow the EL2A podcast on Instagram and also on Facebook at EL2A podcast. So thank you all for watching. Matt, thank you for coming. We got to keep working through, keep doing great things, man. And family, we'll see you next time.
Boom.